Hello YouTube, Robin Hood Bricks here, and today we're going to do part 3 of our wonderful mall series, and today's video is inspired by these wonderful panels from an old Jack Stone set, and they're rather interesting, I think you'll agree. Okay, well before we go into how I'm going to use these pieces and where I got the inspiration from, I do want to go through the amended suggestions from last time, and there were an absolute load of them actually. Not because I think you didn't like what I built, but because you wanted to make it even better, and because of course you wanted to earn yourself a shiny bedoing, no doubt. So the first ones involve Pigsy, who I've put on a pedestal so he looks more like the mascot that he is rather than the man in a costume. And I haven't clothed him like a lot of people wanted me to, because I just like that tummy and those cloven hooves and his little tail on the back. So he's going to stay naked. But I have given him a sausage as per the menu, and a pair of chopsticks as well. So he will be mounted now a bit further away from the people sat down, so it's not so crammed in and uncomfortable. So he'll actually be mounted on the next section of build over here, so that's why he's loose at the moment. I've also moved the menu just that little bit further away from the wall, so that's easier to read when somebody's sat down. We've got lanterns for the Year of the Ox and Year of the Tiger on the underside there, which I've got in brick halls, so that's a good use of those. I have no other use for them. Going further round, we have stuck with the stairway. But I have put the delivery boy, who's going to be the main user of these stairs, running up and down to his bike from the restaurant. So I thought, yeah, putting him halfway down does give it a bit more dynamic interest, I think you'll agree. Then I've added something propping open the door here, which is just a crate of peaches with a sticker that's got similar symbols on and a nice pink colouring again from the same sticker sheet. And then the door. Now the door was a really interesting one in that I did have this grey solid door, but to let in more light and for us to be able to see through, I think this style might be a lot better. I could go for another solid one in this magenta colour, so I can give you an idea of what that would look like. I kind of like it tying in colour-wise, but then again, it's so colourful already, I don't think I mind the blue, but do let me know if you prefer the magenta door there. But it's definitely, either way, better than the original grey. So thanks for that. What's next? I've got a wonderful tag signature saying M-Kid down here for the tagger who is doing the wonderful spray art on the back. That is a fantastic addition. I really like that. We've got a vent on the roof, which is over the cooker hood. Thank you for that. We've got some lights lighting up the billboard from underneath, which are a nice 3D element on this side that, well, should draw our eye slightly round the corner where we won't be able to see it, so that's really good. And even more windows on the back here, which have got those panes of glass from that Ninjago build, which is sort of slightly frosted with a bit of red detailing as well. So yeah, absolutely crammed. And I don't mind the fact that they're sort of hiding behind this billboard because, well, I think real life's like that. Sometimes you do have things on top of other things, so it makes it a bit more realistic if you ask me. So that's great. And then the final ones are a few more on the inside. I've given him a whisk in his hand. I haven't moved a broom in the corner, although it was a good idea to move it for health and safety, just because, well, I kind of like the idea of it being a bit unsanitary in there. And I've added more pans, but decided against more people just because, well, it would get a bit too busy in there. And then one of my favourites was just adding this modified plate onto each of the shutters, so it looked like when they closed, they could be locked together with a padlock or something. I think that looks absolutely great for such a small addition. So thank you very much for all of those because, well, they make all of my builds so much better. And if we ever do submit this to LEGO Ideas or even make some instructions, which is a job that I'm dreading for the rest of you guys to enjoy, then it will be, well, to everyone's benefit. So here is your collective and astoundingly large bedoing. Good. So amendments done, and back to these wonderful pieces, which were originally part of set 4620, Air Operations HQ, which was a Jack Stone set from 2002, where they make up part of that control tower at the top. And when I bought these, I had no idea what I would use them for, no idea what AIR would stand for, no idea what these kind of vents and pipes might represent. And, well, instinctively, they don't look like they'd make up part of a mall either, do they? But the idea that inspired this part of the build actually came from when I got the first one of these in Brick Hall 40, yes, a long time ago, 2 years to be exact, back in March 2020, where I got a suggestion from the subscriber My Name is Kingdom, who thought that they looked very much like the window of a radio station. Kind of that big window that you can look through and see the DJs at work. And he also added that then the studios would be visible to passers-by and that they were often nicknamed fish bowls. You can kind of see why that might be when I'm using two of these at 90 degrees to each other. Does Brick Nottingham need some local media? Well, I think that is an absolutely fabulous idea, as I did at the time. So really, even though it's a long time ago, it is proof of two things. One, I do read all the comments. And two, that even if I don't get to your idea straight away, I may get there someday. So My Name is Kingdom. If you're still a viewer of the channel, then this drawing is especially for you and your wonderful idea that we're going to be doing today. So why a radio station in a mall? Well, I think for a couple of reasons, really. One, units are up for rent, and anyone can rent them after all. So if a radio station did want to locate itself in a smaller unit in a mall, then, well, who's to stop it? And if they want a fishbowl type facility so people can watch them do it, then all the better to have a lot of passing traffic. Secondly, you may well have heard of mall radio as a thing in itself, in that the bigger malls around the world, maybe a bit bigger than the one that I'm making, do have their own radio stations, just to play music to the people who are shopping in the mall, but also to give them announcements about promotions and stuff like that. And I'm going to take mine one step further and make mine also into part music, part talk radio, where essentially they tell people the truth, if they can dare handle it. And that's why I'm going to be using the initials AIR to stand for Alternative Information Radio. And I'm going to have some sort of shock jock or some truth teller, sort of semi-political, well, let's call it what he is, a crazy person, telling people about all the conspiracies that they believe in the real world. So, yeah, I'm going to have all sorts of ridiculous conspiracies being announced on Alternative Information Radio, announced by the crackpot that runs it. Such things as, I don't know, ghosts are in our subway, stuff like that, stuff the government denies, aliens are among us and in our skies and are even abducting people. Yeah, like that's happening. News items like the railway in Brick Nottingham is only a circle and doesn't go anywhere. I mean, nonsense, isn't it? There's a living tree in the city, not plant alive, but animal alive. I mean, that's just absolute rubbish. There are human turtle mutants existing in our sewers. Dr. Inferno is building a mech to kill us all. I mean, it's absolute rubbish. You wouldn't believe a single thing of it. Dinosaurs exist in the bay. The Ferrari Tower is subsiding into the ground. Vampires are living in the cargo yard. I mean, absolute rubbish. Swamp monsters live in Brick Bay. Rogue penguins ate all our fish supply. Toxic waste is transported round and round the city. I mean, anyway, so you get the idea. They're just announcing loads of things that blatantly aren't true to a public that probably just wants to go about their normal lives and shopping. So that is the sort of building we're going to be making today. I hope you get that joke. And we can get on with that as normal by doing the tile layer, which will be going here. And we'll have to extend the roof, of course, as well. We're at that exciting part again when I start putting down long-held plans and making them a reality. I just absolutely love this bit. Everything's laid out and ready to go. It's fantastic. I'm really looking forward to seeing it together. Right, so I've extended out the floor a little bit further, and we've got this rather nice curved corner pointing towards the centre of the mall, and I've also extended out our tiles for the corridor part of this section. And it's often the case when I do a build that half my audience really like it and some really don't, or they've got an alternative view. But on the odd occasion, absolutely everyone agrees. And this is an example of when 100% of my audience were unanimous in their support for this kind of beautiful yet disgustingly sort of 80s, 90s vibe flooring, which is just horrible but beautiful at the same time. I absolutely love it. So anyway, that is continued up there, and there'll be a lot more of it when we've got the rest of the build in place. But yeah, it looks great as a bigger section as well, doesn't it? So to reorientate you, most people will be coming from this direction, and to get to the radio station, I'll be walking past the noodle shop to the door, which will be on this wall, and then the fish bowl made of the two panels will be on these two sides. So people on the outside could look in or look up and in anyway. So there we go. Right. Now I think we should introduce you to the main shock jock for our radio station, and he's looking rather irritated, and he's got a fantastic mane of hair as well. And I showed this minifigure to Mrs. Hood, saying I probably needed a name for this chap, and she came up with a fantastic one as her very first attempt, and she decided he should be called Clint Rage. So I really like that name, so that's what I'm going to call him, Clint Rage. So a bedoing to Mrs. Hood. There we go. So I'll put Clint to one side. Right, so this section is a bit tricky in using these very large clunky pieces, and they've got this kind of floor bit here that when it's in position will impose quite significantly on the area. So we need to raise up the floor by one plate level, and then we can have tiles overhanging into this section and the same on the front, so we get the most floor space for our money. So that's what we need to do. So that's what I've got here with that extra plate layer here, and then the overhang on these two sides to go into those sections. So I'm probably going to have to pull those off once I've pushed all this down to get this back into position, and the same there. So we'll make best use of the floor space because all of these studs will be covered with some furniture on the inside. So it'll be roughly there. Oh, and that hole is deliberate, so I'll push that down properly in a minute. But I think the green and bright green checks look really good actually. There'll be a good contrast to what's inside and a good contrast to what's outside as well. Yeah, I really like that. So first things first, we've got this huge blank wall and we need something really interesting on it, I think, to cover it up. So what better than a huge conspiracy board where all of the evidence for all of the conspiracies that are touted by Clint on his radio channel are kind of linked together, scraps of paper all tied together with bits of red string and stuff like that, as any good conspiracy theorist would have. So basically, I'm going to make a huge board for all of those, and I'm going to make it 3D using tiles and a few stickers, but I'm going to have a combination of plates that make it look like it's a big whiteboard. So part of it is this 4x4 just with 4 studs on that I can cover up with things like this tree comes to life tile from the Daily Babbler, which is one of the Scooby-Doo tiles. The same sort of setup with this 4x6 plate that's only got tiles, rather studs along 3 sides. So that can be combined with this one, so it looks like a whiteboard. And there we've got a newspaper about Mysterio that came from, oh god, it was a Hydra Man attack set, wasn't it? 76129, which was a Marvel one. That's another Scooby-Doo one. All sorts on here. And there's one with antimatter on it. That's from the 70166 Spyclops Infiltration set from 2015. And then to tie both of these together, I've just got a 2x4 that I'm going to completely cover with stuff, and that's got videotapes on, cassettes and all sorts of stuff. So that can clip on there, that can clip on there, and then we'll just get one more 2x2 stolen trophy with a pumpkin-headed man that can go there. And then we've got quite a robust board with all sorts of conspiracies on, and I'm going to give that further strength by adding a 1x8 plate to the back, and that can be where it's mounted onto our modified brick. So because all these look a bit gravity defying at the moment and they'd really be resting on a shelf, I'm going to use some of these bracket pieces just to represent kind of where you put your pens on a whiteboard, I suppose, you know, that rack bit at the bottom. And that can be where the cassettes and so on are resting. And that's why it's nice to have it 3D and just got one, you know, overlapping another and so on. So some of these things are pinned up and some of them are physical items. So I think that'll look really good. But we've got some gaps and I thought I could fill some of those with some stickers. Now, amongst all the stickers that I've been sent, I got these two, which were cut out. Obviously, they were just chosen not to be used by the original person, but they were sent through as part of one of my brick hauls, and they came from the Friends Apartments 10292. And I just thought this one saying why was rather fantastic. But why? So I think I might try and cut out the why bit and either stick it in that hole there being overlapped by those things, or maybe in that hole there, because that's the sort of thing that somebody would write, maybe next to this question mark, why? Other ones are from the sticker pack. That is the 853921 brick stickers from 2019. And I thought these little post-it notes would look absolutely fantastic. And they're on a clear backing, so they'll work well. And I can have them in addition to this 1x1 tile. So maybe that would go in that gap there and look rather fantastic. Yeah, so it'll really be very, very busy indeed. And then if I've got room, but I think I probably won't, I could even use these post-it notes, but they'll need some really accurate cutting out, I think. And they're from JB's Ghost Lab, the Hidden Side set 70418 from 2019. So yeah, lots to choose from. So I'm going to do a bit of sticker surgery. I seem to be doing quite a lot of that recently. To cut out 2 bits, stick those on there, and then we'll have our conspiracy board and floor firmly in place. I like it. Good, good. There's the floor all pushed down. And there is our board with all the conspiracy theories complete. And I was right, that Y is just absolutely perfect there, isn't it? And the post-it notes behind there just fill in one of the bigger gaps. Yeah, I think that looks really, really good. Just to add to that, I'm going to fill this space in the floor, and that's just with a camera with a long zoom lens attached with one of those 1x1s with a little stick on it, just at a jaunty angle in there, just like that's part of the evidence. Maybe he goes collecting it as well, or maybe he's pals with that guy in the corn suit who's taking the pictures of the alien in the farmer's field in Brick Nottingham. Who knows? They're probably part of the same team. Right, so I've added some black columns up here. Then I can add 2 of these very old white columns that are basically going to hold our big panel pieces in place next. So that goes there and there. Now I'm going to build the inside without the windows in place just so we can see what's going on, but then I'm pretty much going to have to take it all out again to put the windows in, to put it all back in. You will be able to see it through the windows, but just to show you it even better, it'll be better without, won't it? So I'm going to build a very intricate desk build that's going basically in a horseshoe all the way around, using facet bricks to get some really good angles going on. And that's tying up with all those plates in the floor. And then we can add a brown layer for the surface of the desk, which has got tiles where we don't need to clip something on, and plates where we do. So I'm using triangular ones to follow the angle of the facet bricks. So you can see there is one end of our desk. Very nice. Then a section there, and then another section made out of more things in the same style going all the way around and up the other wall, because I want the main scenes viewable through this window and this window, of course. So there is a very intricate and very interestingly shaped desk, I think you'll agree. And to me, that really shouts out radio station whenever you see pictures of people standing up and talking into the mic around big desks like this with loads of equipment on. It also makes really good use of those windows in that it pokes right into them. So that is great. Now we just need to fill them with loads of stuff. So I'm going to have a regular keyboard and computer screen on that desk there, because that's going to be in front of where Clint is going to be standing, because he has to stand up when he's doing his show because he gets very animated, and if he sits down he's far too comfortable and isn't at his best. So that's where he's going to go. Now he's got a bit more evidence here about some sort of conspiracy, which I'm going to put on that jumper plate there. And then there's a bit of the kit which has got the sound waves going on from what is being broadcast, so we can have that overhanging there. Very good. Now he has a colleague working on this station, and she is also his girlfriend, and she is well into the conspiracy theories as well. It's got a rather fantastic blonde hairdo, I think you'll agree. necklace and pink dotted top, very much like that. So we'll put her on a chair next to him in this spot here. Now the equipment that she's working is a switchboard. So she's got this great big switchboard machine taking all of the calls from callers, and that can go on there. And then she's got a telephone as well, which has got the sort of handset tile there and a red light flashing for when it's in use. And I put that there, and I better give her the handset in her hand so she can be on the phone as we speak. See if she'll fit in there. Ooh, yep, there we go. Oh, so that looks like a really good scene. So that's what we're going to see through one window. Her taking a call. And from the other scene, we'll see that view as well. I think that looks really good. And there's just one more jumper plate there. So why not have a conspiracy about the Egyptians, pyramids and jewels and things like that on another tile in there. And that makes the whole thing absolutely packed and stacked. I think you'll agree. I mean, we can barely see that green floor now, can we? Really, really busy, but a fantastic and funny scene. I think you'll agree. So what is next? Well, I've got a slightly different pair of white pillars for the front. So we have this lovely kind of lattice pattern showing from the main viewing angle of this building. I really like those. So I'm going to have those here and here, which means our panels are going to be, in there. Oh, I've made them too close. They should be there and there. There we go. So the panel goes in there for one and in there for the other. But as I said, I'm going to have to pretty much pull all of that back up again to put it back down to get these tucked in. But I think it'll be worth the effort and it'll look really good. Oh, golly, that's in the wrong place as well. Get it right, Robin. Okay, panels in position, all pulled out and put back together again. And there is the scene with the girlfriend, or maybe it's his wife actually. Let's call her Mandy Rage or something like that. You can probably come up with a better name for her. Manning the phones. Yeah, very nice. I really like that bright AIR, Alternative Information Radio logo. And there is Clint Rage behind his screen ranting to all of the listeners. So I'm sure they appreciate that when they're going around there shopping. And the background of that conspiracy board is absolutely fantastic detail, I think. Oh, yes. Really good view through that window. And I guess these vents now perhaps are speakers blaring out what he's got to say from up here and down here to all of the passers-by. And I'm sure they all appreciate being bombarded with conspiracy theories while they're out shopping. Oh, well. Right, so to finish the enclosure, we need to finish off this final wall. Do like these lattices. Maybe I should have got those for here as well. Anyway, and I'm going to do that doing something completely different. I'm just going to have some normal windows in with these bars across. I think they look quite good because he likes it nice and secure. And that one is the door. He definitely likes it secure because he's got an enter password type keypad entry thing to protect all of his valuable evidence from the government. And that tile came from 8968 River Heist. 2009 set from the agent's line where it's on the safe there on the front of the boat. So that looks pretty good. Now I was considering maybe not having that and having one of these sort of musical clefts as the door handle. But then again, I don't know, it is a conspiracy theory place. So I'm thinking maybe the password tile is best. So you decide and let me know what you think in the comments for the choice there. So that'll go in that gap, but we need to add a bit more detail first. First of all, the red and green lights on the outside so people don't go through the door when he is on air, causing a great big noise because we don't have a waiting room, so that can be there. And the same sort of thing on the inside where they've got a red light showing when they're on air for their own benefit. So that can go into this gap like that. Door opens. Yep, that's good. And there's one space here for a bar piece, one of those ones with the right angle on. And it's just got a 1x1 round brick on the other end. And that's because that's going to be the microphone. So if I put that into that position there and then show you it again from the front. That is perfectly aligned to be just above his head. So when he's ranting, standing up, all of his words are getting picked up by that microphone and sent out to all the listeners. So I think that's a really good touch. Just the sort of microphone that they do use on radio stations. So it's subtle, it's quite hard to see, but yeah, I really like its inclusion. Cool. Right, so then we've got that. Then I just need to put in a little bit of a yellow awning, I suppose you'd call it, to go over there. And that would have tied in with the clef, or will do if we decide to go ahead with that option. I suppose there's some yellow on the keypad as well, so that's all good. And then we can start boxing it all in. So I'm using these very, very old corner bricks because we need the anti kind of stud hole here from an actual brick rather than a plate layer to go on these pieces, because they've got this stick coming out that made it easy for younger builders to build. So that is going to give it a bit of strength on the two corners. And then I can use a combination of other bricks and tiles to kind of bridge this gap on each of the sides like that. And then just to hide all of this relatively plain side, I'm going to be bringing in more dark turquoise, which will be a recurring theme throughout the entire build really. We've got some here, and I'll continue that around the other two sides, some bits in here with the menu and so on, and we'll see a lot more of that as the build progresses. So I can add another side on like that joins all of that right into the noodle bar and gives everything a lot more strength and makes it look a lot more neat. I think you'll agree. Very nice. And then on the third side, the same sort of thing, except this time I'm having a clock on the inside wall for the guys in the radio station again. So that will go onto, there, just needs all straightening up a bit. And we've got an enclosed radio station. Hey, that's looking all right, isn't it? Very nice. So it's quite sort of low key, which is good because these signs are quite big. Maybe not one on this side, but yeah, I think the colour scheme with the yellow and the yellow really do still tie things together. So yeah, I like that. And then we just have a little bit more to do out here. Now we will have a railing that goes all the way from here, along here, and so on, all round this entire floor, because we don't want people falling off, and I don't want to have shops facing both ways in, because then we'd have to really sort of stand on a chair to be able to see inside. So this is kind of an open front, and as a result, we're going to have railings, basically. So there's the curved corner bit that will continue that nice angle there, and then we've got another section here, which is going to be straight. But I'm going to be having adverts all along the straight edge, and this one is for the fine art shop El Cubo, which is part of course, the boutique hotel build, which will be in a completely different part of the city, but might well have its advert here that's set 10297, of course, from 2022. So I'll have lots of 2x4 tile adverts going around this from end to end, and that's just the first one. So yeah, that looks really good there as well. So that is the main bit of the build, but there's still much more to go on the roof. Now, believe it or not, this is the part that I was most excited about doing today. Yes, the roof section, not all of this stuff and detail and scenes and tiles and everything on the inside, making our lovely radio station, but the roof. Wow, that view is really good, isn't it? Yeah, and the reason for that is because I'm going to do one of my famous 3D signs. Yes, fantastic. So first of all, put on the old roof, which I've got all these plates on the underside of, so it fits very easily into position. Fantastic. Then the boring stuff. The back section, well, I figured it was better used than fully blank, so I'm going to put solar panels onto there. I've got these in a recent haul, so I figured I may as well use them. So I can have 6 on that, or rather 3 on that section, another 3 on this section to make 6. There we go. And there's the new vent we had for the extractor hood fan. So that looks quite good, I think. Very green, fantastic. Then because this is a radio station, I guess we need to have a couple of antenna or aerials or whatever it might be, beaming it out. So I think they look good. So far, so good. But then I wanted to have a much more prominent one right at the front centre. Now this, I very much took inspiration from the very old RKO radio logos that used to be on, well, the beginning of old black and white movies and stuff like that. And it was basically an antenna that had a big ball at the top and electric bolts coming out from it, and it sort of went beep, 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 sort of with Morse code, and it was transmitting its radio waves out to the rest of the world, and that was their logo. So I'm going to blatantly rip off their logo, either to make, well, depending on how you look at it, a 3D sign right here, or maybe actually it's the antenna that is beaming out the radio waves for AIR to Brick Nottingham. So either way, I think it'll look absolutely excellent on the top of this building. So the first bit is this base made of all sorts of different pieces with texture bricks on and so on. Clip on the front there, and these jumper plates with these modified tiles, the round ones with the stick on, and that's so I can change the build direction by putting one of these modified plates, 1x2, the rounded one, upside down there. So we've got studs down now. And then I'm going to further change the direction by putting the next bit on a bracket piece. So I've changed the build direction. So now kind of going front to back. And that's an inverted tile, an inverted curved slope. So we've got the studs on the front now with the combination of jumper plates and 1x1 plates and all the rest of it to make up this very complicated framework. And that's because we're going to be putting all sorts of stuff on the front of this thing. So in the middle, we need that bit that holds all the electric bolts and has the kind of central transmitter bit, which is kind of a ball. I'm thinking of that as being red. So I'm going to use this modified brick with holes on 4 sides to support the red dome in the middle. And then for the electric bolts, I'm going to use these energy pieces that have been, well, part of all sorts of DC and Marvel sets in recent years, and I can have 4 of those going off at different angles coming out of these 4 different holes. So there we go, 1, 2 and 3, 4. So there is the central bit, which will be all the radio electricity waves coming out. Electromagnetic, I suppose it would be. So that's going to go on there. And then we need the further bit being the actual kind of ripples of those radio waves going out. And for that, I'm going to be using tiles, again, in this dark turquoise colour. So I'm going to have the near radio wave going out like that. And then the further one using a slightly bigger curved tile like that. So it's kind of sound waves visualised. And then I can do the same on this side, get it all nice and aligned. And it took absolutely ages to get all these pieces in exactly the right place so it looked perfect. Look at that. Yeah, loads and loads of iterations to get it looking exactly how I wanted it. And then we can put the electric bolts. Do you want it like that or like that? I think that looked slightly better. So there we go. I can put that on there. And it's really starting to look like that RKO logo, isn't it? Wow. Boop, 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 boop. But the one thing that's really missing from that fantastic already 3D sign is the stanchion that's holding it up, the sort of great big antenna body. And for that, I'm going to use another piece, which I think, if I do say so myself, is a very clever use of this piece. And it's a Spider-Man web firing piece, usually like that, coming out of Spider-Man's hand onto a baddie. But I'm going to use it like that, as if it were the antenna body. And I can put that under here and clip that onto there, like that. And there is my radio mast, or is it a 3D sign, RKO inspired transmitter. So how about that? I was really happy with that, and I think it's turned out absolutely fantastic. These electric bolts are absolutely perfect, aren't they? Wow, looks good from dead on. It looks good from an angle as well. So that is going to go on here. And you can see why I was excited now, because that is the crowning glory of my radio station, Alternative Information Radio, led by, what was his name? Clint Anger? Something like Clint Rage, that was it. Wow, I'm very happy with that. So do tell me what you think, as always, but I think the final thing is just to get this whole floor onto the top of the floor that we did with the first part, and then we'll have, well, one entire side of them all done. Fantastic! Well, as if this wasn't bright, colourful and packed and stacked already, it is even more so now, the introduction of this completed floor. Wow, loads of colour, loads of shapes. I love the beginning of this rail and the continuation of the 80s, 90s floor. And I don't think this overhang particularly cramps the style of skate underneath, far from it. And yes, the pièce de résistance at the front there, that wonderful 3D sign. I think you can see why I wanted to put this radio station in the mall and why I wanted to have it on the front, because that sign is just absolutely great, if you ask me. And we've got the wonderful scenes inside, of course, with that conspiracy board, the shock jock DJ in action, and of course his wife Mandy manning the phones, and the billboard round the back that we did as part of the amendments. That blue door, which is actually starting to agree with me more and more that I see it. I like that. And we'll have the guy running down the stairs and Pigsy up here when we do the rest of the build, of course. And yeah, I don't think we're ploughing through this too fast, because there's an absolute load more of this mall to come, to be honest. Think about it, it's going to be on 2 base plates, so all the way up to about here, and it's really filling them. It's not got a great big boundary around the outside. What's more, the other side is going to be 3 stories high, so about up to here, and it's going to be completely full in between the two, including all of this area as well. So yeah, there's an absolute load more of this to come, and it's all just as colourful, just as packed, and just as stacked, with more 3D signs as well. Oh, golly, I love that one. Right, so as always, thank you very much for watching. It is appreciated. Do remember to like, comment and subscribe for more awesome LEGO videos. Do also remember to tell me what you liked and disliked about this particular video, and if you've got any suggestions for improving it. Try and earn yourself a bedoing, of course. And if you value this channel, there are many ways in which you can support it. Do check out the links in the description below. And next time on Robin Hood Bricks, it'll be a Wednesday, so we'll be doing a brick haul to get more bricks for more builds. I'll also be looking at the latest series of official minifigures that I've got now. Then on Friday, we're doing another mock build, probably a train this time round, I don't know. And then next Monday, of course, we'll be doing the next part of this absolutely fabulous mall. I'm just loving this build so much. It might be the best thing I've ever done. So until all of that, see you! Yeah, it'll be even better with Pigsy back in his position. Fantastic.